Now let's give our predictions. And before we lock in official scores here, let's play a little fill in the blank game, okay? So I'm going to make a statement, and then Morgan, you're going to fill in the blank with what you think, okay?
All right.
Clemson wins this game if
Clemson wins this game if they can get pressure to Steve Angeli. To me, that's number one, is just get back in the backfield. As you mentioned, the free rushers. It's scary because he will take a hit. He's not the biggest dude out there. He's not a Tim Tebow, and he will take a hit. And I love how he stays in the pocket. But if I'm Clemson's defensive front, I'm thinking it's time to get in that backfield, get dirty, and get a couple of sacks on that scoreboard, on that box sheet, box score, excuse me. And, really, really put some pressure and show what you can do on this defensive front.
I will not go with the opposite and say, hey, Syracuse wins if they protect Steve Angeli, because I feel like that's cheating a little bit.
Okay.
Although that is a big key for Syracuse, keeping Steve Angeli upright with this passing attack. Take your chances with the Clemson secondary, not their defensive line. So I'll say this. Syracuse wins this game if Cade Klubnik keeps playing like the way he's playing. How about that? I don't know if they're going to be able to generate any sort of pass rush regardless, because so far through 3 games, I could sit here and wish and hope that they can generate a pass rush, but so far Syracuse has not been able to do that. So at that point, you're at the mercy of how the other team's quarterback is going to play, which is how I ended the last segment, which is if Cade Klubnik is still playing like the way he's playing, which is a 59% completion percentage, barely over 200 yards per game, and a 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratio right now, that opens the door for a Syracuse upset. I like how Adam Randall has performed so far for Clemson. I don't believe he is the next Phil Maffa right now, or the next Travis Etienne, or all the other great players that Clemson has had in the backfield so far. Wesco has performed really well, but Wesco is just a great player. He's a great player. If Cade Klubnik is off, who else on the outside is going to be able to do anything other than Bryant Wesco? I don't know. So Syracuse wins this game if Cade Klubnik continues to disappoint us all this season and not perform to how we thought he was going to perform in the preseason. So, Morgan, I'll leave it with this, all right? Let's get right to it. What's your prediction for this game?
I still feel like that Clemson will probably start out slow. I'll be very shocked if they are winning in the first quarter. To me, it would set up to be just like it's always been, where they just can't figure it out in the first half, in the first quarter. So I would not be shocked if Syracuse isn't up 10-0 going into halftime, or at least tied at halftime. I do believe that Clemson will win this game. I would not take plus or minus the 17.5. I would pick Syracuse with the spread for sure. I think it'll be closer than that. So to me, I would say this is the time where Clemson finally gets up into the 30s. They might could get maybe, 31, 30, something like that. And then Syracuse, I think, will be close to more around the 21 mark there. So to me, maybe a 10-point win with it being 30-20 something. That's what I'll go with.
Got it. So I'm the host of Locked On Syracuse. And I would love to pick Syracuse to win. I would love it. I think it would be hilarious if I go on here and I pick Syracuse to win.
You
and
should.
Then they actually win. I mean, I should, right? I am the host of Locked On Syracuse. I should always pick this team to win, but
always,
right? I hate this matchup so much. I hate it. Because Clemson is just not playing well right now, but I still respect them so much. And I still look at them and I say, so much talent. They're right there. I don't think this is a Florida State from last year's situation with them. Because with Florida State and what happened with them last year, similarly, they lost to Georgia Tech on a walk-off field goal. But then they lost to Boston College at home. And then they lost to Memphis at home. I look at Clemson, and Fran Brown said it in the press conference. They're a couple of plays away from being 3-0 right now, and maybe they're not perfect, but we'd be looking at them entirely differently. In fact, if they're 3-0 right now, they're top 5 still in the AP poll, even if they're not perfect. I think it's a bad matchup for Syracuse. The only hope there's two hopes, which is Cade Klubnik remains off and Syracuse's weird recent history versus Clemson where they just keep it close, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think Syracuse in this game is going to make too many mistakes that are going to come and bite them. So I'm going to pick the Clemson Tigers, even though I'm the host of Locked On Syracuse. I have to be honest with myself and honest with you all. I am picking Clemson to win this game 27-14. How about that? I think it could be relatively close in the second half, but I just think Clemson's too much along both fronts for Syracuse to be able to compete in this one for 4 full quarters, which is what they're going to need to do in order to win this game. Any last thoughts, Morgan?
I think you know, like you said, there is a scenario and there's an avenue where they could win. To me, if I'm Syracuse, and I will play devil's advocate there for both of us because we both pick Clemson, but I would say Fran Brown is going to bring his guys ready to play. He's a no-nonsense head coach, and he's got fire. I love that. And I love that about the Georgia Tech head coach. And so to me, when you have that kind of focus and intensity, the players want to run through a wall for you. And so I do worry about that. And then again, if you can just give Angeli time to pick apart Clemson's secondary, he can do so. He can do so with the tight end, and then he can hit you for a big play with the outside wide receivers. And really, Clemson's fan base is on super edge. So if I'm Fran Brown, I said, hey, all we need to do is to highlight make them screw up, make them make a big mistake, and the fan base is going to start booing them. And do you really trust Cade Klubnik to hang after the fan base is booing him again? It's going to be a struggle there if you get your home crowd against you again. They have been booing a little bit this past game against Troy, and it could come back again if they start out lethargic. So if I'm Fran Brown, there are a few things that definitely have to go your way, but there's an avenue there, and they do have an offense that you should respect for sure.
To sum it up best, I think Fran Brown's going to have them ready, and I don't think they're going to be scared of the moment. Like when Syracuse lost to Tennessee in week 1, and it was a 19-point margin defeat, I didn't think Syracuse was scared of the moment. I thought they got off to a poor start. It was a little bit unlucky at times, especially in the beginning. Got also a little bit lucky as well with a fumble in the red zone, but that's neither here nor there. But I think it was a scenario where Syracuse simply was not playing up to par, and Tennessee's a great team, and so they capitalized on that fact. It was not one of those things where I looked at it and said, man, Syracuse, they look like they're lost. They don't look prepared at all. They look intimidated by the moment. So I don't think Syracuse is going into Death Valley on Saturday and they're going to be scared. Because it's Fran Brown and he has changed the mentality of the program. But I just look along the fronts of these teams and I'm like, if Clemson can't figure it out now against the Syracuse front, both sides of the ball, where they can't generate a pass rush and they have too many miscommunications along the offensive line as of right now, it's not a good matchup for Syracuse on paper. I don't think they're going to be scared of the moment, but I'm still picking Clemson to win this game 27-14.